In the industry that I love for 30 years, I can tell you the last 2 years, Greg, there has been, I'm going to call it an awakening.
Yeah.
Some would call it a shortage of skilled technicians.
Add auto mechanics to the list of workers in short supplies.
I'm not calling it that anymore. I don't want to buy into that anymore. I'm going to buy into what it is on its very face, an awakening. How many of you right now have had your own personal awakening? I'm not working there anymore. They do not admire me. They do not pay me what I am worth, and I don't get enough time off. Now, what's the momentum for corporate America, whether you're small, medium, or large, publicly traded, or on a shoestring budget?
Well, the reason why it's a lie, Joe, and yes, thank you always for having me back, is because it's pointing the finger in the wrong direction. Point being, companies that are investing in employees, companies that are following that age-old norm that we know is the right thing to do, investing in your people.
Do you just sit there, cross your arms, and say, well, I can't find good people? Or do you sort of mend the history of a broken culture in your business? In this case, we're talking about mechanics, good old-fashioned mechanics, automotive technicians. And so on this show, I wanted to dive into this deep with co-founder and president Jay Gonninen of Wrenchway. You have really thrown yourself at this, you and your great team at Wrenchway. And why? When you mention really hard time finding younger talent, what does that all come down to? Why is it tough today, or perhaps even not too long ago, during your era with 70 technicians, a lot of those folks that were aging out? Why is it so difficult? What are we doing wrong?
I think this is, it's a big question, right? And I think when you start to look at the jobs that have come up for entry-level people, and you look at the Amazons of the world, or the Targets, or some of the people that you mentioned before, and some of the supply chain issues, they're paying really well, right? So when you start to combat that, or when you start to look at that from the standpoint of a young person's shoes, they look at that and they said, hey, you know what? I can be a robot for Amazon and do the same thing in an assembly line for, time after time with zero pressure other than staying in your stall and doing the same thing over and over. Or I can go learn this really, really hard thing to do. And, oh, by the way, I'm going to be the lowest paid person coming into that shop. And, oh, by the way, I also still need to invest tens of thousands of dollars in tools. It becomes kind of an easy thing to look at as to why maybe a young person would be discouraged from coming into our industry.